know what you're thinking, First Lady.
You want me dead? In a war, people die.
This isn't war. You just murdered an unarmed woman.
You murdered 100,000 Iraqis to save a nickel on a gallon of gas. Are going to lecture me about the rules of war? Don't!
Get off my plane. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another sweet, exciting episode of Citizen Frame and the continuation of Plane Month.
Citizen Plane.
Oh, my God. Who knew, though, planes would be pretty good movies?
Yeah, well, there's a lot you can get through with them.
So this one is, I saw Air Force One back in 1997. I actually saw this with my mom and dad in Belfast at the movie house when it opened up.
The one on the Dublin Road.
Yeah.
I love that cinema, and I was really sorry to see it go.
Yeah, it sucks. It was good cinema. Now it's going to be some fucking tech building, some modern day tech building.
Yeah, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot, as the song goes.
Yeah, exactly. Was it Joni Mitchell?
Yes, Joni Mitchell.
And I think it goes without saying it has Harrison Ford in it, who is the greatest actor of all time, and a director. Let's talk about our director here. We got Wolfgang Petersen at the helm here. I love Wolfgang Petersen. Sadly, just passed away a couple of years back of the age of 81. He made claim to fame with a little movie called Das Boot.
Yes.
Wonderful film. You guys have to see it. It's about a German sub being attacked by the enemies during World War II, but we got to realize the enemies were us.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing about the film, you really cared about these characters and you really liked them. But at the end of the movie, you realize, wait a minute, these are the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, it's the human story type thing, the humanity of, regular. I'm not talking about the Nazi party here. I'm talking about the regular German soldiers during the war.
Yes.
Yes.
Doing their job.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there was also a series, but apparently Wolfgang Petersen's father was a submarine captain in real life or something like that. So he always had an interest in that sort of type of thing.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. It'll be his. He also worked with, introduced us to Jürgen Prochnow, who I like as an actor as well. He's obviously got a small part in this because of that. Wolfgang Petersen went on to do massive hit, The Never-Ending Story. He do a wonderful, underrated film. I know our listeners probably would have seen it because they're fans, but Enemy Mine. You guys want to see a wonderful film. It's so good. Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. Just an amazing film. We are definitely going to get to it. He did the awesome In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood and Jürgen Prochnow. He did Outbreak, which we did on the podcast with Dustin Hoffman. He did the wonderful Perfect Storm. He did Troy and Poseidon. I mean, it's really, the last two didn't do well, and that's what pretty much ended his career, unfortunately. But I love Troy. I think that was a wonderful film. But Wolfgang, yeah, it's definitely up there with my 80s, 90s directors. He also reminds me, in the 90s, you had three directors that were really A-listers and making hit after hit. You had Jan Dubont, fresh off of Speed and Twisters. You had Paul Verhoeven, who Total Recall, RoboCop. Then he did Basic Instinct, big hit. But then it seems like all these directors kind of hit a roadblock where things didn't work out for them. You had Paul Verhoeven's downfall started with Showgirls. Then he did Hollow Man, which I actually enjoyed.
I liked Hollow Man.
Starship Troopers. But even despite it not being a hit, it's now a cult hit. And then you had Jan Dubont, who did The Haunting, which was terrible. He did Tomb Raider 2, which was terrible. And then you had Wolfgang, who sadly Troy and Poseidon didn't do well. So when the 2000s hit, their careers kind of took a hit and their movies weren't as well received, which happens with a lot of directors.
Yeah, I think.
But those three directors are A-listers in my book.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, and I was just about to say, I think where they hit the roadblock was basically, and why, was because the 90s ended. The 90s, certainly with doing these last few plane movies, sort of highlighted to me even more, the type of aesthetic and style of 90s Hollywood blockbuster type films, which we'll get to with this review. But yes, back to the Jurgen guy, I would say he also has an appearance in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. So, which we reviewed actually. So there you go.
So back to Air Force One. Fuck me. It was originally written for Kevin Costner, who I could see in the role, actually.
Yeah.
But he had to bow out because he was doing that wonderful piece of shit, The Postman. Jesus.
I think they missed a trick by not casting Steven Seagal.
Yeah. Too big, told you.
Yeah.
John Malkovich turned it down. He was going to be the lead, which I don't see. I can't see John Malkovich playing the president. Too much, but and he did turn it down. He made the right call. He ended up doing Con Air.
Yeah, he turned it down for Con Air.
Yeah, but let's jump into this bad boy as we talk Air Force One. We've got Harrison Ford, Wendy Crewson, Xander Berkeley, Gary Oldman, Glenn Close, Dean Stockwell, Pell Guilfoyle, William H. Macy, Tom Everett, Jurgen Prochnow, Donna Pollock, and the Wishmaster himself.
Andrew Divoff.
That's right. And they all play President Marshall, Mrs. Marshall, Agent Gibbs, Ivan, the Vice President, Defense Secretary, Chief of Staff, Major Caldwell, NSA Advisor, the General, the Press Secretary, and the Wishmaster.
Yeah.
So there you go. And I'll tell you what a wonderful cast.
It is a very strong cast.
Yeah, Dean Stockwell, Glenn Close, and then you've got upper comings like Xander Berkeley, Paul Guilfoyle, William H. Macy, and just great group. And we'll start off. I will say this: the similarities to this film and Executive Decision are pretty.
Yeah, the same film basically.
They're definitely up there. I said that in the last podcast, where I guarantee you Wolfgang saw this film and says we need to do something like that.
I don't know. I mean, there are certain trends that go about Hollywood, and that's always been the case. So I think around this sort of mid-90s point, plane action films were a thing. But yes, there is most definitely a lot of similarities.
But and I like Executive Decision. You got the opening, you got the military team going in, but instead of getting nerve gas, they're trying to get this dictator out of power. I think it's
Kazakhstan. No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's Kazakhstani.
Yeah, is it right? Well, as soon as I heard Kazakhstan, I was waiting for Borat to pop up.
No, it's Kazakhstani. They kind of make it up. He plays this leader, dictator, ruthless killer man, and a team goes in to get him. And of course, Gary Oldman's team infiltrates Air Force One because they want him released. So there's your story, kind of a similarity to Executive Decision. The film, everything kind of about 20 minutes. 20 minutes into it, you get him out, you get him imprisoned, the dictator, and then you introduce ourselves to the president, and he gives this big speech and about how we're not going to bow down to terrorists anymore. We should have got this man before he ended up. He made some pretty good speech where he says, he goes off script, and everyone's not happy about it, and he makes the comment, we're not going to bow down to terrorists anymore. We should have jumped in sooner to help Russia, and
it's setting up his character basically that he's a good man at heart, but he's a bit of a maverick. He don't play by the rules, that sort of thing. It's basically setting him up as a character.
Yeah, but what I like about it can come off hammy, right? But it does play a major role when his kid has a gun to his head, has a gun to her head. So,
in terms of the script, it does make sense. Yes.
And he ends up having to eat his words.
Yeah.
So I do play on his vulnerability. He's not this G.I. Joe, blah, blah. He's
not Rambo, even though he's a Vietnam veteran, which is convenient for the plot, but he's not
and
like
he's got the Medal of Honor, and he was a helicopter pilot.
He's more of a grounded Rambo. Yeah, exactly.
Harrison Ford, man. He is grounded Rambo.
Well, yeah, it is a bit sort of, there are leaps in sort of believability, but we'll run with it. It's a Hollywood action film,
Yeah, you gotta but I mean, you can say the same thing with Executive Decision.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're films. They're films.
Yeah.
So, but there's a difference between watching Cobra, which is just dumb fun, and you're rolling your eyes with it and laughing at it, but enjoying it, and actually enjoying this one and appreciating the story, and so you accept the the fantasy elements that do come to play.
Well, it's played straight. It's played dead straight. And actually, I was, as a viewer, I was hoping for more sort of tongue-in-cheekness. But I think, the whole one-liners and tongue-in-cheek silliness wouldn't really work with Ford in this type of role. So,
well, we had that already with Con Air and with Executive.
Yeah.
Even Executive was a little more grounded. It did have a little banter in it. This one plays it dead straight, and also because it's rated R.
I was surprised that whenever I heard it was rated R, actually.
It's incredibly violent.
Yes, the killings are very violent, but there's not much swearing or anything like that. But the killings are pretty
that's
violent.
all you need.
Yeah. I don't think it's...
You do realize violence has to be rated too, Trevor.
Of course, but I think it murdered a 15 certificate, not an 18.
When he blows a woman's head off?
You don't see that?
It doesn't matter.
It's off screen.
It's still very intense and terrifying.
No, I know.
But that does create that tension. Terror does get ratings as well.
I know that.
This movie is R.
Yeah.
You need so much help. You need so much fucking guidance.
I can't believe that I'm actually calling. This is probably the first time in my life that I've disagreed with an 18 certificate.
I mean, it's just like, dude, get off my podcast.
see the line that we're going to talk about later on. It actually reminded me of Ghost. Get off my train.
Yeah. I love the whole introduction. About 20 minutes. We know that the president's a good guy. He's a family man. But I really like the boy Ivan, played by the incredibly wonderful scene stealer, Gary Oldman.
Yes.
And the great thing about him, when he's introduced with his team of reporters, he goes onto the plane. He's so nice and gracious, and he plays like a fanboy. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. And he has really good banter with the press secretary who he's about to blow her head off.
Yeah.
And it just shows how vile and how angry this man is, because Gary Oldman, as we know how great Gary Oldman is, he could turn it on and off just like that.
Yeah.
And he does. He is the best, even over my boy, Harrison Ford. This man steals the show.
He is a little hammy, I would say, and his Russian accent is a bit almost Hollywood villain cliche, the Mother Russia. Obviously Gary Oldman did it better than me, But, I mean, yeah, he's Gary Oldman. Yes, he's an excellent actor. And I actually read up, apparently, he on set, when they were making this film, he was just turning it off and on. There was no real big preparation. He's very good, actor overall, obviously.
Yeah, he did have to be one of those fucking actors who goes into full character. And him and Harrison Ford had great fucking chemistry, I heard, and really got along and really beat the shit out of each other on set, which was fun. But I don't think I'm going to disagree with you. This isn't hammy. There's some presidential stuff that's hammy. I'll give you that. Even the line, "Get off my plane." But his performance, I don't think it's hammy. I think it's dark and
a little
disturbing.
bit. Whenever he loses his temper and stuff,
No, come on. That's like him in The Professional. Just when he goes, that's Gary in the 90s, man.
Yes, I know. I think
crazy.
I think it's maybe because I'm so used to him being like that in 90s films, if you know what I mean. Playing that sort of role in the likes of Leon, The Professional and stuff. Where I'm not complaining. You know what I mean? It's Gary Oldman doing his thing as a villain.
When the takeover happens, Xander Berkeley's obviously the mole,
the inside guy,
Agent Gibbs. Now he was young; his career was young at this in his point of his career. But if he was casted now in that role, we know right away because he always plays bad guys ever since this movie.
He plays like sort of sleazeball types very well, actually. Xander Berkeley and Candyman as well. Where he's like the partner,
boyfriend
who's unfaithful, and he's having an affair with the younger woman and stuff.
I forgot he was his Candyman.
Yeah, he was in the X-Files as well, and he's in lots of roles like that.
X-Files, I got to throw that in there. Well, there's so many fucking actors in this movie; they've all been in something.
Exactly. Yeah, we even have Hal from Quantum Leap.
Yeah, Dean Stockwell.
And Jerry Lundegaard from Fargo.
Is he in it? Where?
William H. Macy.
Oh, yes. I forgot his character.
Oh, yeah.
But the whole takeover scene is just so fun. And it's accompanied by Jerry Goldsmith, who's a really wonderful score here. And It's just the whole take, and it's very brutal. I mean, when you see Gibbs shooting his own men pretty much point blank in the face, and the whole takeover, trying to get the president to the escape pod. You think he's escaped? Clearly he doesn't. To just the
it's
great.
ruthless.
I love Gary Oldman's performance is so good because he's got to get up now after the president's escaped. He's got to get up to the pilots, take over because they're trying to land the plane. And there's a great line by one of the pilots. He just says, "We're landing this plane no matter what." And the courage of this, of just that one small part he had, the courage of that pilot alone. And you got Gary Oldman trying to shoot the door down before they land, and he's got to put that little C4 on the thing, and he's going to blow it up. And you can see Gary Oldman's hand shaking when he's doing it because he's so into the character.
Yeah,
he's just throbbing in anger to get to that door. It is an intense whole opening sequence to get
much more so than executive decision, the plane takeover, as you even pointed out actually last week when we were talking about executive decision, because I mean it's pretty brutal, you know, and they're just Gary Oldman and Wishmaster and the gang are basically killing all around him.
Yeah, and that's what we said about there was no peril in the last one, and this one they show this man will kill, and he says it. He says, "I will kill somebody every half hour."
Yeah,
until my general is released.
The tension is ramped up.
Yeah, and you know he's going to do it. It's and that's where it brings you in. And of course, you've got the people on the ground in the White House. That's more coming the hammy part where the Secretary of Defense is arguing with the Vice President who's in charge, and they all kind of don't know. I'm like, did you guys know this?
That's based on reality. I was reading up on that.
Oh, I know it is. It's
after Ronald Reagan, there was an attempt to assassinate Ronald Reagan. That actually happened. Yeah. I mean, where there was this disagreement, you know, if he was to die, who's actually in charge here?
Well, there's all these differences. This was the problem. They didn't know if he was dead. He's missing.
Yes.
Is he still the president? Is he incapacitated? Is he vulnerable? Is he dead? There's all these different what ifs, and certain people would take over during those what ifs.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's incapacitated, he can't make a decision for himself. It goes to the Secretary of Defense, I believe. But yeah, that was the argument through the whole kind of film. The Dean Stockwell character was a little over the top with his "we'll kill him when we get him." Rah, rah, rah,
you would get sort of, I've no doubt about it. I've never worked in the likes of a White House or government administration, but I would imagine you would get people like that. But yes, they have, obviously, for dramatic reasons, they have to play it up a bit, you know. So yeah, I was fine with that. And I like Dean Stockwell, so yeah, no problem.
You know, all the actors they cast are awesome. I have nothing against them, but I liked with executive decision. You had really smart. We talked about A, B, you know, and C.
Yeah,
they tell us what they're going to do, and they show us what they're going to do. And I do like, they do that here technically with the ground crew at the White House, especially where they find out he's alive, so he's on the plane. But Gary Oldman doesn't know that.
Yes,
so they don't want him to know that. So it's a game of cards here, and they're rolling the dice to try to play off him or stall him as best they can to figure out where he's actually is. It's just good. It's good cat and mouse kind of wits.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly in terms of, you know, the tension overall. It's definitely an improvement from executive decision, which I liked, and you know, I like David Suchet and stuff. It's a different type of performance by David Suchet, you know, written differently and stuff. But yes, certainly the tension does work for this. When
the president, the VP calls the Russian president and goes, "Can you release?" And it's a good scene too, because the Russian, he wants to do it for him, but he can't unless he knows the president's alive. And this is before they realize that he is.
Yeah.
And the Russian president does say, "If he's alive, I will do it."
Yeah.
And she goes, and then when they find out he is alive, and we find out that he ends up doing it.
Yes.
He regrets it, but he says, "Okay, I said I do it." So I like the loyalty. And they kept in true to the characters.
Well, also as well, in real world terms, you know, this was around the period of the end of the Cold War, and there was bridges being built between America and Russia. So it sort of does tie in with that.
I love when he starts killing things. It just, even his tension. So when he goes into the room and he sees the wife and kid of the president, Ivan, and then you always have any kind of these films. We had it with the last film with the senator. Any guy who volunteers to walk up and talk to negotiate in any of these films,
oh, they're fucked.
They're dead. And I do love when the NSA advisor walks up to him. Listen, I'm here. I'm the NSA advisor.
Yeah.
I'll negotiate for you.
Yeah.
Blows his head off.
It was like J.T. Walsh in Executive Decision. You know his days are numbered. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Once you start getting cocky with, especially if you're just a supporting character, once you start getting cocky with the bad guys, yeah, you're on your way out, mate.
And you see it. He blows his head off, and then Ivan gets back on the phone. Okay, I just killed your NSA advisor. You know what? He's a very good negotiator. He bought you another half hour.
Yeah.
It's a great, and he does it so straight. Because usually, be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, be like, he'll ham it up.
Arnie was up for the Harrison Ford role here. Did you know that?
If they couldn't, if he couldn't do it or something like that, yeah, they had other suggestions.
Yeah.
I think Arnie would be too big.
Well, it would become a bit of a pantomime. It would be very much a different type of film in terms of tone. If it was Arnie, there would be one-liners, and there, get off my plane, get to the plane.
Oh my God, it's President Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it would be a very different film. Let's just say. And this is silly, generally, but for what it is, it's played straight. But yet, it wouldn't be the same with Arnie.
I'm gonna make a make a statement here. People are gonna boo me.
Go ahead.
People are gonna boo me.
We're gonna boo you anyway, but go ahead. So why not?
No. It's early in the morning. I got my coffee. Maybe I'm just too tired, but I'm gonna say something here. Hold on.
There's a lot of tension here building up to this statement.
That's right.
Yeah. Wolfgang Peterson.
Podcast. Okay. So there's a scene where Ivan takes the daughter and mother up to the pilot room, whatever it is.
The cabin type thing, yeah.
The cab, yeah. The heart of the plane. And he's talking to him. He's talking to the daughter about this is passion, this is blah, blah, blah. He's really selling it, And the girl looks at him, you're nothing like my father, blah, blah, blah. He gives this big speech. And then he kisses her on the forehead. He's like fucking creepy. And I have to say, and John Malkovich's performance in The Line of Fire.
Yeah.
And this performance by Gary Oldman is up there. Not as good. I'm saying that now, people. But I think it's up there with Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber. These two both those villains in both Wolfgang's films steal the show, and they're very good.
I would say that Hans Gruber is more of a pantomime villain. With Oldman here, he's more intense and serious. But yes, that scene with the daughter, I would say that, and I don't like having a pop at child actors because they're just kids, but the daughter's pretty cringeworthy. But it is quite an intense scene, when he's talking, he's got the Russian accent and he's talking about, his motives and stuff for doing this. But yeah, I mean, it's Oldman and he can play intense very well.
The scene where the president finally gets the phone, he's been looking for phones, and he gets the White House on the line, but he can't talk to him because Wishmaster's there to get him.
Yeah, exactly.
And so but I liked how he's trying. Again, Wolfgang likes to use a lot of similarities to what he does in his other films. He did something similar to this one with Clint Eastwood and in Line of Fire. So you got the president, he's on the phone, but the terrorist thinks he's talking to him and not, he doesn't know the phone exists. He doesn't know that.
Yes.
He's talking to actually the White House.
They think he's telling
them shoot at the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot at the plane, and don't worry, we have measures. It wouldn't hurt us, but it would just shake us up a bit because he needs the plane to move so he can get the weapon off the Wishmaster.
Yeah.
Well, they did the same thing in The Line of Fire when John Malkovich has Clint Eastwood down and Clint Eastwood's on the ground and everything's dark and the snipers can't see who's where, what. He's got a little mic and he says, just shoot, but aim high.
Yeah.
He's kind of giving them clues how to shoot them. So he kind of does that here. And I do like how they play on that.
I've seen stuff like that in several films, where they're on the line to someone, but the bad guys don't know it, but so they're like speaking in code to them. But yeah, it's sort of
What film? Okay, give me. If you say Doctor Who or X-Files, I'll beat the shit out of you.
Whoa! A threat of violence.
Well,
I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but
I can't.
It does seem a similar type thing to me.
See, now you're just guessing.
No, I think I've seen it similar somewhere before. Maybe.
Can't you just go, wow, Ciaran, that's an amazing observation.
Well, I was actually agreeing with you.
And it's the same director.
I was agreeing with you.
I can't believe you put that together.
I was agreeing with you, and you threatened me with violence. That's the bottom line.
Get off my podcast.
You know what I did cringe at? It's not a bad scene up until this point. Whenever eventually President Marshall, Harrison Ford, gets into, this room where they're all sort of kept hostage. And then he has the idea, actually, I think it's William H. Macy, Jerry Lundegaard, that has the idea about the parachutes to get the hostages off. And you see them all gliding, whenever they've jumped off in the parachutes. I just found that a bit too cheesy.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Some of the political and the American rah, rah, rah kind of thing. Yeah, that's a little hammy. I'll give you that.
I wouldn't even say how. I would just say a bit cheesy and cringeworthy. But,
I think it's cheesy. I wouldn't say cringe. Cringe is like...
It was whenever you see their stupid smiling faces, whenever it was meant to be a big emotional thing.
When you see the big girl who he's going to make Postmaster General, which is the fax, which is a fun scene actually because you don't know if they get the message.
Yeah,
but I do like when the camera you see her looking down, smiling
with a big stupid grin on her face.
If I was on that parachute, not knowing where I'm going to fucking land, I'd be shitting my pants, not smiling.
I'd be screaming. I'm a cardly bastard with heights and planes and all sorts. I'd be fucking. I would be full on Frank Spencer taking some sort of crazed panic attack. I wouldn't be sitting there with a big stupid grin on my face. Put it like that.
The scene where, and the movie does that. I think the movie does that deliberately to show, like I mentioned before, a lot of films put a little cheese because there's some dark elements in this film. So they like to
lighten
put a little
a bit.
Cheese, lighten it up a bit, exactly. And so I can get that because the next scene, he shoots the press secretary. And
that's probably the most brutal scene.
It's the most brutal scene, and you don't see it, but you see the blood on the chair after. You see her body being dragged away. I mean, and he does it in front of a child.
Yeah,
and it's just terrifying. And even I, to this day, still watching. Damn, he does. And it's a woman.
Well, he's a proper threat.
Yeah. This is.
He's unhinged.
Oh yeah.
Whereas David Suchet in Executive Decision was more cold and calculating. This guy's a loose cannon, and he's he's very brutal to say the least.
Do you know when the whole refueling thing's happening?
Yes.
And you remember? Okay, so he's getting people off the plane, right?
Yeah.
And you have Agent Gibbs. He's helping him. Why didn't he just not help him?
Yeah. Well, he was still trying to basically convince of his cover. I think his character should have had more to do generally anyway. I think his character's a bit of a waste. Yes, you had to get Gary Oldman and stuff on the plane, and he's a part of that. But apart from that, and the end, he hasn't really much to do.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks because he just shoots William Macy. Poor William Macy gets it. And
Jerry Lundegaard.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? So it's like, why was he still here? There should have been something elsewhere, or even Gary Oldman kills him because he let him go. I don't know. Something where why
or a redemption arc
get off the plane.
I was actually hoping for a redemption arc for him where he realized the error of his ways and then sort of, sided with the president and sort of helped him get off the plane.
Too cliche. That's too cliche.
Well, it was better than what we got. It would have been better than what we got because apart from getting him on the plane in the end, he has fuck all to do. essentially.
No, he's the one who has to initially. He kills half his men.
Yes, but at the he has stuff to do at the start, but getting Gary Oldman and the gang
Yeah, but
on
that's
the
pretty
plane.
big. That's a pretty big.
Yes, I know, but in between, he doesn't have anything really to do.
Yeah, but you got so much going on. I just don't get why he was maybe just to hold his cover, just in case they do.
He didn't want to blow his cover.
He's got to play it safe just in case. That's probably more likely. Now, again, Wolfgang mirroring his other films. This scene will be replicated again in The Perfect Storm, where the refueling thing goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I like this scene a lot. I like the refueling. I like the part where Harrison Ford, he's getting one off the parachutes, and Harrison Ford falls because of the refueling goes wrong. The plane explodes. It's a nice shot, actually, when the plane explodes above.
Yeah.
And then you see it falling below the plane as Harrison Ford's hanging off the back end, and you see the explosion of the plane below his feet. It's pretty cool for as effects were starting to becoming a little more advanced. They're trying to work with CGI at that time and stuff.
Well, I would say
some of the shots don't work. Some of them do. But again, this is early stages, and I can still appreciate the intensity and the coolness of the scene.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I would sort of agree with that, but I would say regarding the effects, the best effects here are the ones that don't use CGI overall. I mean, obviously there's not that much CGI used, but there's one in particular at the end when Air Force One gets basically ripped apart at the sea.
I don't like ripping on films when they're early stages of an effect. I have to appreciate that, and I can appreciate this in '97. But the plane crashing Air Force One, I'll say, looked like something I'd see from Chronoconda on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah. They should have used models. They should have done it with models.
They should have just done a model. I would appreciate that better.
Yeah.
But they had to implement him, Gibbs, crying as he's being crushed. So I like his death, and I like the way the plane went down. I just don't like the execution. Pardon. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, like you say, it is early 90s. There is a bit of dabbling with CGI, bad CGI, but overall, it's not that. There's not that much CGI in it anyway, and certainly the stuff with the stunts and the action and stuff is very much practical and stuntman and stuff, and it works the best, of course.
When he finally captures our boy, Ivan has the president now. He's telling him, call. He's smart. Ivan's smart. He's cutting out the middleman. He's cutting out the White House. He goes, you're going to call the president of Russia, and you're going to tell him to release him. He goes, no, I'm not doing that. This is the funny part. I will say this. So he goes, you will call the president, and you're going to tell him to release my dictator friend.
Yes, Borat from Kazakhstan.
Then he goes, yeah. He goes, very nice, very nice. He goes,
nice.
So he goes, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And his daughter's 2 feet in front of him. He puts the gun to his daughter's head. Okay.
Okay. To be fair, I totally get that. And I'd have done that. I'd have said, yeah, just release the fucker. Release Borat. Go for it. Nice.
Well, he's going to do that. If I was Harrison Ford president there, I would probably go, well, I'm going to have to do it because he's going to probably put the gun to my kid's head.
Yeah.
So, it's... It
was always going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Russian soldiers bump off evil senator guy anyway, so it's okay in the end.
I do like when he calls the Russian president and the Russian. Like I said in the beginning, he honors his comment. If the president's alive, I'll do it. And so he does it, but he doesn't get 10 feet without getting shot. But I do like that. I do like all the characters stay true to who they were. And like Gibbs, even though there's some flaw in the way the character is portrayed, none of the characters switch gears.
Yeah.
There's no arcs here. There's really no arc.
I think the only one really, the only real arc here is Harrison Ford's, where, and it's not a big arc in terms of like changing him, like a sort of personal journey. It's more he goes from being the president to being an action hero and saving the day, But apart from that, there's no big arcs, no.
Yeah, but that's okay. You don't need them.
Well, it's an
These
action film.
characters-
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much you really can do. And if you put an arc with Gibbs in there, it would have ruined it. It's just like, no, this guy needs to die, and he needs to die, because we want him to die a douche.
Yeah. Usually guys like that would die a more gruesome death, Usually the
It's still pretty. It still sucks.
Yeah,
You're still
I mean-
alive, and you're gonna crash into the ocean.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't really see it. You know what I mean? He like gets fucked into the ocean. You know the way usually in films like this, you like see like their face screaming, ah!
You see him hanging out the door. I do like. What they should have done instead of showing the plane actually crashing because it doesn't kind of work. They could have had. Well, they could have had it hit. And you can see the plane hitting. Then he cuts inside the plane as the water's coming in, and he's being blown.
Yeah, something
all
like
over the
that.
place.
Something like that.
That would have been cool.
We need that
That would've been
payoff. So, but even though he hasn't much to do apart from the start and the end.
I do love the films, and this is standard. You got the lead actor Harrison Ford. He's hanging off this cord. The Air Force One's gunned down. You now have Liberty 2-4 trying to pick him up with the cord, and the music's like and he's hanging in the wind's blowing. It's like, come on, he's gonna fucking make it.
Obviously,
okay, that's that.
they have
And
to
then
do
there's
that.
silence in the White House.
Yeah,
the
the tense
see if he
moment.
made it, and then it goes Liberty 2-4 is now Air Force One.
And everybody cheered. Yeah, and saluted. Yeah. Welcome aboard, Mr. President. Yeah.
I remember seeing this. I said in the beginning of the podcast in Belfast with my mom and dad, full of bunch of people from Belfast, and all of them were like rolling their eyes. Oh,
Yeah. No, I mean, it is what it is, It's that type of, sort of action film. But I would say, just something I meant to say earlier on, see the Jerry Goldsmith score, I found it distracting. And I'll tell you why. It sounds way too similar to the Star Trek scores that he did at the time for Voyager and Deep Space Nine. I was half expecting Cisco or Captain Janeway to pop up. It sounds too similar to those Star Trek scores that he did.
Well, you got to realize, you can say the same thing about Williams, Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
A lot of their scores are going to sound the same because it's very hard to produce all new scores. A lot of them just take other scores and just revamp them.
Tweak them. But I did read up that apparently...
I will say this. It did sound like it ripped off a lot of Executive Decision score.
Yeah. And of course, at the end, we'll have, Harrison Ford turning into Kurt Russell in Executive Decision. But, those old flying lessons from back in the day just conveniently come in handy, But,
Yeah, no, I completely disagree. He is a combat pilot. So he does know the basics of flying. And also, he doesn't land the plane. There's nothing he can do.
No, he doesn't land it.
So
yeah.
I kind of like the fact that he planted that seed, like you're going to roll, oh, here we go. He's going to land the plane safely on the ocean.
Yeah.
But no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I kind of like they pulled that away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, as a sort of mid to late 90s action film, it is stereotypical, but in that context, it works overall.
I love this film. I still do. I still love it. I like it better than Executive Decision, but I think Executive Decision is slightly smarter, believe it or not.
I actually prefer Executive Decision.
Okay, that's fair.
But that still works for what it is,
Plane must have been pretty impressive.
Yeah. Who would have thought, Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we got snakes on a plane next, so
we're definitely going to lighten the tone.
Oh my God. I can't wait to get to like Shawshank. Yeah, guys. Thanks for giving us a listen here. It's Harrison Ford, guys. It was going to get a pass. Don't care. We must do some bad, movies that didn't do well for Harrison Ford, like Hollywood Homicide.
Didn't they do a recent one like a couple of years ago about a big dog? I think it's a children's film or something. I haven't seen it.
You mean based on the famous novel called The Wild?
Was it? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. I just remember seeing a photo of him on the internet with a big dog, and it looked cute.
Yeah,
it has a beard.
Dog, and I guess it's terrible.
Yeah.
So maybe we should do that and see if I give it passes or not. Just he's fucking in it.
Yeah.
But well, maybe I don't want to see him.
Yeah. Ruin your childhood.
Exactly. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Download's been fantastic as usual. Give us a shout at CitizenFrame_podcast on Instagram or, of course, Facebook. Thanks for some of our new listeners. We got some new listener in Virginia and Vermont.
Cool.
And yeah, so welcome aboard.
Thanks, guys.
And that's all we have. Get ready for Snakes on a Plane. Jesus Christ. You know, movie's bad when you have I'm literally terrified of snakes.
Right.
Terrified. And this
don't
movie
mind them.
didn't scare me at all.
Right, okay. I don't mind snakes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't fancy a poisonous one creeping up on me, but in general terms, I don't mind them.
All right. That's it. Guys, take care of yourselves. We'll talk soon.